Hello, everyone. I am the Aries. I know it's been infrequent, these videos, and it'll probably be more infrequent. I'm going to have to go back to the 9 to 5 grind soon. Probably have to find a new place, maybe move back home, back to North Carolina. I'm not sure. It's kind of up in the air. But I'm not really, yeah, I'm worried about it, but not overly concerned with it because everything will work out the way it's supposed to work out. And you have to have enough faith to understand that. Hopefully things work out the way I want them to and not just the way the universe needs them to go. So, my awakening speech. Well, I guess I got into the spiritual world around 2019. Uh, but before that, let me just go back, describe a little about myself. I've always been a loner type. Just, I don't know, just a loner type, just not confident, not secure, all the good stuff. So around 2018, I had for 14 years. After 2006, my mama died, and I had a lot of guilt because of that. A lot of guilt, and I was in a major depression. It's not that I was the guilt was because I wasn't a good son. It's not that I was a bad son, but I just wasn't a good one, and I just wasn't there the way I should have been, the way I wish I would have been now. But there are a lot of other problems that went along with that, guilt, depression. I picked up drinking. Uh, well, did a little coke, little drugs. Nothing. Three I would never go for: meth, crack, or heroin. Everything else, maybe. Who knows? Which is not to say I did everything like that. I was junkie, but I just wasn't in the right space, and I just felt real bad, just miserable. When I tell you that most of the time I would not have cared had I woken the next morning or not. But 2018 rolls around. I get a job, and for the next year, I'm rebuilding myself, getting more confidence, lost some weight, just felt good about myself. To the point that I was a brand new person. You would not have been able to tell who I was from 2017 to 2019. Now, while working, uh, well, I was never good with girls before. I self conscious and all this and stuff. But I had a new lease on life, and I'm like, you know what? I've got the eye of the tiger. I'm just gonna go out for it. So there's this woman at work. Uh, I'll call her Scorpio because he was Scorpio. Anyway, I thought Scorpio was flirting with me, and so I kind of like Scorpio a lot, and it's like developed a crush. Now, why I thought she was flirting with me? Well, she would always come to my aisle like, "Hey, I'm watching you. Hey, I've got my eyes on you," or "I make you nervous, don't I?" Now, she hadn't made me nervous until she started saying that, and then I'm like, "Well, you know what? I'm not going to be nervous. I'm just going to be all cool and calm and collected or whatever." So, but so I went up there. I talked to her, and I had a huge crush on her. So, I asked her out. Uh, I asked for a number. I wanted to take her out to karaoke. Don't ask me why karaoke is just on my bucket list. So I called her up. She wasn't there. I left a message. She doesn't call me back a couple days, so I'm feeling like I'm feeling ghosted, but no big deal. Now she did text me, and she texted me. Well, she texted me. Well, sorry I didn't get back to you the other day. I was laying in bed with my girlfriend. These are you should be glad that you're one of the first people I've told, or something like that. Now I don't know what it was about those words, and I'm not even sure she meant them in a bad way, or but all the new confidence, it just seemed to go away. All of a sudden, it was the old me for like a brief second. And I don't know. Well, I texted her back, and I had some few choice words like, who are you to sit here and try to make a fool out of me and everything like that. And I didn't know she's into girls and everything like that. Although sometimes I wonder, maybe that was an invitation that I messed up. But I suppose it wouldn't. Well, even if it was an invitation, I couldn't have gone for it because while it would have been fun, it would have made me second fiddle, and that would have brought me back to the place I was before I'd had my new life. Now, I say new life. I have not gone through my spiritual awakening yet. I've not even heard the term of spirituality before. But anyway, when I texted her back, I felt good. I'm like, you know what? You made a fool out of me. I'm gonna talk shit to you. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you just what I thought about the whole situation. But after I did that, though, I felt really bad, like horrible on the inside. And it's not like it physically, because mentally, I still didn't give a shit. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. You sit there and make a fool out of me. I don't give a shit what I say to you. But physically, it hurt though. It's like it hurt. It seriously hurt. It's like, wow, this is not good. The way it was feeling, but I don't know. So, go back to work. I apologize, Scorpio, and it was okay. Well, I thought it was okay. Who really knows what a Scorpio? I mean, who really knows what a Scorpio? But anyway, it seemed like everything was okay. But I want to know what the hell was going on because I'd never had those kind of feelings before. It felt like love, and it was love, but which is odd because I could not have told you Scorpio's last name, and I'd only known her for work, and I'd never really been in love, but that's what it felt like. That's what I knew it to be. So I wanted to get to the bottom of this. So and for some strange reason, and to this day, I'm not even sure how the connection came to be, but I started watching tarot videos. You know, uh, like I said, I'm not sure what drove me to tarot. It just seemed like, yeah. Well, I don't know. I when I say I don't know, I don't know. But I was drawn to tarot, so I started watching some videos. Now I'm watching videos. I'm not really sure what I'm watching for or how it relates to Scorpio, but I'm watching it and I'm just soaking up everything. I'm actually listening and learning. And well, it was less about Scorpio, it was less about love, and it's more about learning. Learning and understanding. Understanding, learning what? I wasn't quite sure yet. But I was interested, I was curious, so I kept diving in. Now, one night I was watching tarot videos. I was watching, I would probably say my mentor when it comes to tarot. I don't know her in person. I'll just call her Capricorn. And yes, she's a real person. Yes, with a YouTube channel. No, I'm not going to name names. And yes, I probably already have before. But Capricorn. I was watching one of Capricorn's videos. And then all of a sudden, now it's late at night. All of a sudden, I start hearing somebody talking. But I'm still watching Capricorn on my phone or whatever. Um, and then I turn my head to hear what's going on. And when I turn my head, it's like my whole awareness shifted. I wasn't in my room anymore. I was someplace else. And before me talking was somebody. He had a white guy, older. Uh, he had a blue lab coat on, and he was talking. He was sitting. Was he sitting on a desk? I think he was sitting at a desk. So and he was talking. He was talking about spiritual matter things. He was telling me that there's a link between art and spiritual. There's art. There's a link between art and creativity and spiritual power. He was telling me out. the voice when I first heard it, it was going on about artist. You may have, you may be an artist or you may be a writer, and it was going on like that. Oh, it's at this point that I'm messing up this video again, but bear with me, folks. And so, anyway, the guy's talking. He's telling me these things right here. Well, he's just talking right now. I'll go into what he was saying a little bit later, but he's right there talking to me. Now, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I'm watching the video. All this is going on, but it just seems like it doesn't seem like strange. It seems like it just is. You know, I know you turn around, somebody's talking, you think like, well, hold up, who are you? What's going on? But it wasn't like that. I was listening to a conversation, and I was meant to listen to it, but it just seemed natural that he was there and I was talking to him then. So I wondered about Capricorn because I was watching her video, and so I turned my head, which was a struggle. Like I was, it was a struggle to turn my head, but I turned my head, and Capricorn is still going on talking about the same thing she had been talking about, but she was on a TV, one of those TVs with the antennas on them. Same video. She's just talking, same as I'd seen her before. So then I'm like, well, okay, all right. And then I turn my head, turn back to the conversation. Now, you have to understand, all this is going on. It just seems like, okay, it didn't seem, it doesn't seem strange that Capricorn's right here, and then I'm listening to this guy right here. It does not seem strange, so I go back to listening to him. So he starts telling me, he starts telling me something about myself now. Well, you might have to go back to the other videos. I'll just try to remember what I can. He mentioned the Truman Show. He said my life would be like the Truman Show. And then he also mentioned that some people are going to be jealous of you because of who and what you are. As to the who, I've got a link to the divine, which I'm assuming is unlike anyone else's in this world. And also, I have the ability to bring raw spiritual power from the ethers. And I think he said it in those words, raw spiritual power from the ethers. So I don't know how long he kept going on. He was telling me a lot of other stuff, but I did not listen. I knew I wasn't paying attention. I knew I wasn't paying attention like I was supposed, well, like I should have been, or like I could have been. But I don't know. It was just odd because all I wanted to hear about were my X-Men powers, and that's what the phrase that kept going. Where are my X-Men powers? I want to get to my X-Men powers. I heard him talking about all this other stuff, which I always thought other people were hearing that, and then just focused on me for my part. But I don't know. So where am I? Oh damn, where am I in this story? Oh, well, eventually, I don't know, I fall asleep or whatever, because I wake back up in the next morning. I had no, well, and that was my awakening speech because he brought me into the spiritual world then. Because you have to understand, I did not come into the spiritual world looking for spirituality at all. I'd never heard of it. I'd never bothered with it, but it was on my soul's path. It was on my soul's journey. Oh, wait. Certain esoteric truths were hidden in the works of science fiction. That's a direct quote. I remember that to this day. And I've used that as a frame of reference to be like, you know what? People get their downloads from however, but my soul specifically put in certain esoteric work. Well, works of science fiction. That's where I would find my answers or my clues or whatever my soul put in this earth for me to find out, or to clue me in on certain things. I don't know, but this story sounded much cooler when it happened. But it was the coolest story in the world, though. Of course, you're probably thinking, well, it was probably some dream. Well, the uninitiated might think, oh, it's some dream or whatever. But no, it wasn't a dream. I've had dreams. Was it a vision? I don't know. even it was either a vision or some other form of extra planet. Well, I can't say that. Fifth dimensional conversation. I don't know. Astral projection. I'm not sure what astral projection is, but maybe it was that kind of dream, or maybe that kind of vision. I don't know. And it's not a regular dream. And I don't even think it was. I don't think I could call it a dream because I've never had some kind of. I don't know. I've never had anything like that happen before. Well, no, I do take that back. I had a communication with Capricorn in a somewhat similar type communication, but I don't know. But Capricorn's a real person, and as far as I know, the person in the blue lab coat wasn't. I I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking maybe it's Michael, Archangel Michael, but that's just a guess. I don't know if it's a real person or what. And I don't know these conversations. I don't know if it was a conscious decision, a conscious act on their part, or something that their soul spoke to, and that they might not even know consciously. I don't know. But that was my awakening speech. That was what brought me into this spiritual world. Since the and if you're asking, you just went with a dream. No, I mean, on the one hand, it felt real. It felt real, but on the other hand, I don't know. I don't know. So I went back and forth. I did. I asked people. I asked Capricorn, "Hey, what's going on?" Because well, that was a whole messed up situation right there. But yeah, but I could never find answers though. But eventually, I'm like, I'm going to test it myself. So I went out of my way to sit there and say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Because if someone tells me that I have the ability to draw raw spiritual power, from the ethers, that to me says magic. So I did everything that I could that would either prove that I was on to something or something was true or I was just being manipulated or I was just being crazy, you know? So I would go out and I would test my abilities, my gifts, and whatever in outlandish ways. What did I do? Oh, uh, one of the first things I consciously try to do was manifest rain for the brush fires in Australia. Now, I did it. I did the magic, and it rained. But then you think, well, did I really do that? So I did it a couple times. What other weather related stuff? Dorian, the Hurricane Dorian off the coast of North Carolina. Well, it moved out to sea, but then again, I thought, well, hurricanes move out to sea. Did I really do that? And I did it with a couple other storms. Nothing moved out to sea again, but from what I read later on, the storms did lessen, or they weren't as bad because I did do some effort to minimize the damage. And I put all this stuff in. When I did all this stuff, I put out in the YouTube comments that I was going to do this. I'm always one for saying we either talk about it or be about it. If I believe this or if I don't know what's going on, then you know what? I'm going to see if this is real or it's not. And if it's not real, then I want to be so embarrassed I'm not going to be in this world at all. You know. But I mean, in the spiritual world, not in the real physical world. But yeah. So anyway, I posted everything. Well, I posted everything I was going to do in the YouTube comments. It all went the way I thought it would. Now you would think, well, okay, you believe, right? Well, yeah, kind of, yeah. But, you still have doubts. I mean, come on. Manipulating the weather, energy work. It sounds crazy. Even now, even as I say this, it sounds to someone who's not in the spiritual world. I know it would sound crazy, but even to people in the spiritual world, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Everyone gets their downloads. Everyone gets messages differently. I'm not sure how it goes with other people, but I would think that my story is rather unusual because I've not heard anyone else say anything like this before. So I don't know. What else? Oh, probably the thing that convinced me, like, you know what? There's a lot of truth to this stuff that I'm not going crazy was when I started working with angels, the angelic host specifically. They are the angel heaven's war angels, the army of heaven. Now, now angels are, to me, birds are my symbol for angels. You know, in 3D environment, birds, that's my symbol for angels. That's my sign for angels. Now, when I was opening the angelic portal, because I said to myself, you know what? Well, because even then, I'm like, always felt a cause for justice. You know, I'm like, I'm going to be involved in this world. I don't want to read tarot. I don't care about love reads. Twin flame is a joke, a straight up joke. Do I need to get on camera when I say that? Yeah, twin flame's a joke. But anyway, where was I? Oh, but I never wanted to just do regular stuff. You know, like I said, magic. So, and the cause, I've always been interested in politics. I've always tried to be a good person, or at least wanted to be a good person. Well, I've always liked superheroes, and I always wanted to be a superhero, if I'm being honest. So I opened a portal because something was telling me this world is just not right. There's some bullshit going on. So I opened the angelic portal. Now, I was thinking specifically of Xi Jinping of China because I did not want him to go into Taiwan. Or I did not want him to just go on his whole imperialism trip or whatever. So I do the magic. I open the portal. Now, when I go outside, there are birds all over the place, all in the sky. More birds than I've ever seen in my entire life. And then on the ground in the neighbor's yard, from the front of the yard to the back of that yard, nothing but birds lined up, side by side, behind each other, row behind each other, through the entire yard. More birds than I've ever seen in my life. They were like in formation. So then, well, you all know what happened then. The whole Ukraine, Putin's war invading Ukraine. And you have to understand, there's no way in the world Ukraine would have lasted this long if heaven was not involved in this at all. You know, so confirmation right there. Oh, and also, one time I was dreaming I was chasing an angel trying to pluck a tail feather. And when I woke up, I found a little piece of, well, it looked like a little pinion of a feather, a piece of a feather. I do have that feather. I put it on the video. Where is it now? Do I have it? Well, well, they're in one of my tarot card packs, but I've got it on my video. It's on a video there, and I think I put a link to the video on my Twitter, so you might. Frost Winters Tarot is my Twitter, so you might want to check it out. So anyway, there's a feather right beside me when I wake up after I dream of chasing an angel around for a feather. And you see these things. Well, it's like at this point, it's like, you know what? You really can't just say that shit. I mean, well, you can't make this shit up because it's right there in your face. You can't dismiss it. You can't just brush it aside. It's right there. The divine is right there talking to you, communicating with you. Oh, and also, I work with Archangel Michael. Michael, shout out to Michael. And one time, 20 years ago, I suppose. Well, over 20 years. My son was a toddler. One day he was just staring up in the well, it wasn't the sky. It was like in the corner of the room, like just looking. Like, what are you looking? He could barely talk at the time. What are you looking at? He's like, Michael. You know, it was like I didn't know any Michaels, and he's staring at something. But yeah. Now my dad's middle name was Michael, but I wasn't I wasn't close to my dad at all, so I doubt it would have been him. I know it wouldn't have been him. And it wasn't till 20 plus years later, when I got into the world of spirituality, did I realize Michael's been with me that whole time. Our spirit guides are with us the whole time. Even before we know it, they're there. And that's how great the divine is, because, and when I go back and think of what my interests were, yeah, I always liked fantasy books. And I always liked magicians. And to sit here now and be like, well, there's a reason why. There was a reason I was drawn to the things I was drawn to, because I was going to wake up. You know, things are planned out. There is a grand plan. And that's pretty much how I got in this world. I was not planning on it. I wouldn't have been believing of it had I heard about it. But it just happened. Well, it happened because it was meant to happen, I suppose. Now, I do have some other interesting. Oh, I've got quite a few interesting stories, because it's been an interesting life since I've been on my awakening. But those will be for another day. I wanted to have something down because I plan on running my mouth about my awakening speech sometime. And yeah, till next time, everyone. I am the Aries. Take it easy.